In this video, I'm going to talk about 3 types of cyclists and why 2 of them need an off-season and why 1 of them doesn't.
What?
I'm going to uncover and explain the reason to why when you keep pushing with your training way throughout the year, it always eventually makes you slower.
What?
And if you keep watching right to the end, I'll talk about why everyone in their off-season at this time of year, if they need to, should do this one thing. So, let's get into it. Pro cyclists. Yeah, now clearly they're going to need an off-season and a break from the rigour and demands of the training and staying super light and lean and racing hard all the way through the year. Now these guys and girls need to have downtime, a chance to switch off and take a break from their bikes, sleep a bit more, eat a bit more, and just let their bodies deload. I think we can all agree that pro cyclists definitely need an off-season. The club racer who races road, TT, crits, and does chain gang every week. These guys and girls take it super seriously. Come to think of it, these types of cyclists are way more like pros nowadays. If you think about it, they have coaches. When you look at their numbers, they're posting close to what pros used to several years ago. Yeah, given that their level of hard work and consistency and race calendar is massive throughout the year, having 2 to 3 weeks off and allowing the body to deload is an important, not just for their physical aspect, but also for their mental aspect as well. For those 2 types of cyclists, I think it's really important that they take a deload couple of weeks to mentally and physically decompress from all that hard level of training over the year. And it's the reason why if they don't, they're not going to get any fitter next year. And that last bit is super important to try and get across. And I remember discussing this one point with a very experienced coach who explained it a bit like this. There is a ceiling to where you can push the limits of adaptation from the fatigue of your training and racing. If you never pull back and deload, you don't allow for compensation. So you remain close to that ceiling and never go ever above it. So you do get fit, but you can never get much fitter. By pulling back and allowing more recovery allows super compensation and a chance for us to push over that ceiling to get fitter and faster. I know that sounds a little bit backward, but think about it. If you're always pushing your envelope of fitness and fatigue, it's going to be really hard to get that little bit extra out. But if you pull down and allow your body to fully recover and get adaptation, then you'll be able to push harder in your training sessions and then you'll increase your fitness. And this is why pro cyclists and club racers should take a decent off-season. Yes, you drop fitness and conditioning. However, from experience as a coach, athletes and cyclists who do this always come back mentally and physically refreshed and super excited to get the new phase of training started. Now, let's talk about the cyclist that doesn't need an off-season and what they should really focus on in the autumn months as the days get shorter. The weekend warrior cyclist. This type of cycling enthusiast has probably done the odd sportif, the occasional chain gang, sort of been consistent with their training plan throughout the year, and been on a non-biking family holiday. Yeah, they don't need an off-season, they really don't. But here's what I do think they should focus on. Let's start with on the bike. I don't think now is the right time to be smashing out intensity. However, I do think that aiming to maintain power, muscle quality and function should be the goal of master cyclists. Remember, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. So, 1 quality threshold session with a few sprints folded in right at the end of that session every 7 to 10 days would be a decent focus in the autumn months. Naturally, the volume is gonna come down and it's gonna be darker in the evenings during the week, so the weekends should really be kept for reserve for riding long and steady with your mates. The autumn is a perfect time to hit the gym to build strength and work on any imbalances you have. I've talked about this loads on this channel. Strength is a master cyclist weapon in fighting off age-related decline that we all see as we get older. It improves muscular economy and endurance, increases your lactate threshold independently of VO2 max, improves power and force production, muscle function, size and quality. I still don't quite get the resistance from some cyclists who say that they don't need to hit the gym. I think it's super important, not just for our cycling and our power, but also for our longevity. I say to everybody, I don't just want to be strong to be able to walk up and down stairs and not fall over when I get older. I want to be strong enough that I can pick heavy things up over my head and not break. And yeah, growing my strength over the winter and being able to maintain that strength all the way through the summer has kept me strong on my bike. It's definitely, when people have asked about my training and how I've managed to stay powerful doing things like the Inferno, is yes, my training on the bike is specific, but without doubt, being strong has helped me maintain my overall paces when I go and take on things like the Inferno or ride around the island in Mallorca at really strong, solid average paces. This is quite an unpopular opinion, but I think in the autumn months it's a perfect time to focus on weight loss. Hear me out, let me get my message across. I think when you're doing a lot less intensity and a lot less volume, you can afford to drive harder on a calorie deficit. I'm not a fan of trying to lose weight and train hard in a build phase or a peak season. If you think about it, very low energy intake and hard training is a recipe for poor quality in training and your training adaptations. You literally just don't have enough food to be able to function well, and you're not eating enough food to be able to recover well. The two just don't mix. So it makes sense to me to work hard on changing your body composition if you've got a fair bit to lose when you're not having to work so hard in training and your volume is low. Imagine this as a weekend warrior recreational cyclist. You've swapped out some junk turbo training sessions for some strength training, so you're gaining strength and power. You're working on holding on to your current power, not over pushing it, but making sure you're not losing it. And you start working on your power to weight ratio, so when you start your 2025, you're in really good, solid, foundational shape. That would be a really cool off-season goal, right? So there you go. This is the reason why I don't think everybody needs an off-season. And as a master cyclist and someone who's a recreational cyclist who just wants to improve their fitness, strength and power and feel good about themselves and look leaner, there are other things we should be focusing in the autumn months. And if you've been thinking about getting back in the gym and you're not sure where to go, I've got a video about that and I'll put it somewhere around here. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back in a couple of weeks.